And then I began to say, God, I do not want to die like this. Lord, help me, God. Save me, Lord. Help me. And then all I could see was him getting back into the car, and he's reversing. He's reversing, and I'm trying to regain my strength. And all of a sudden, he's coming towards me. The car is coming towards me. And I said, Jesus, help me. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 3 men come. They grab my body, and they pull me out of the way. I should have been dead that night. I was still depressed. I didn't want to go to school. I was suicidal. At this point, it's like I didn't want to live. You know, I was embarrassed of what happened. Shortly after this, my ex-boyfriend starts to come around and wait for me at the bus stop. He's like, hey, you know, let's work things out. So I ignored him. And he did this. He was very persistent. He kept doing this over and over until I gave in. I decided to give him another chance. And this was a very, very bad decision I made. After I decided to get back with him, he started getting into drugs, alcohol. He became verbally abusive. We were getting into a lot of fights. It was very toxic, the relationship. And I almost became very afraid of him. I started to become really scared of him because he would call me and tell me that he was watching me and he was telling me what I was wearing and where I was. And, you know, and I was like, this is not normal. This is weird. After this, I was scared to leave him. I found out that I was pregnant. I didn't know what to do. I knew I had to tell my parents. I told my parents, and of course, you know, they're not happy. You know, I'm very young. So what happened was that I told my parents, and they said that they would help me, that they would support me. And I told my boyfriend then, and he became a different person with me, as if like he felt like he had so much control over me. And he started drinking more, and he started like sinking in an addiction, alcohol addiction. One day we're at a birthday party. I'm now 7 months pregnant at this birthday party. And I began to talk to one of my girlfriends that he did not like. And he confronts me outside. He's like, hey, let's go outside. I want to talk to you. I go outside, and out of nowhere, he just hits me, just punches me in the face. He just sees crazy anger outburst out of nowhere. Then he started accusing me of things, and I just fell to the ground. And all I could do was just hold my belly and pray that he wouldn't hurt the baby. I remember I was just in shock. I came home and I had a black eye. I had bruises all over my body. And I started covering up the bruising with makeup. And it was really bad because I would get to school and people would ask me, Andrea, what happened to you? Are you okay? I said, oh, I just fell. I had to lie, you know? And I started covering up for him a lot. And it just became worse and worse. I wasn't getting along with my parents at home, and I moved in with my boyfriend. That was a bad mistake. I moved in with him, and again, because he was like an alcoholic, I was witnessing him just going downhill. There was one particular evening that I put the baby to sleep, and I already had the baby, and I went to sleep myself, and I could hear him come in, and so I would play off like I'm sleeping because I was scared of him. And he comes in and he's messing around with drawers. He's opening up drawers. And then I could watch him, but I'm playing it off and I'm trying to sleep, you know, playing it off like I'm sleeping. And then he grabs a gun. I could see a gun in his hand. And then I started to pray mentally, God, help me. Help me, Lord. Help me, Lord. And then he comes over and he shakes me. And he's like, hey, wake up. And he puts the gun on my head. He goes, if you ever leave me, I'm going to kill you. I was in fear. I didn't know what to do. And because he was so drunk, you know, I didn't say anything. I didn't want to start any arguments because he had a gun. I said, I'm going to die here tonight. And then I just started praying. I went in the other room with my baby. I just started praying. I said, Lord, help me. Get me out of this relationship, or I'm going to die. Either it's going to be me or my daughter, or we're both going to die. God, help me. Get me out of this nightmare, Lord. After that, I decided to leave him for good. I called my parents, said, Mom, Dad, please, I need your help. Please come pick me up. They picked me up and I put a restraining order on him. And I didn't see him for several months. I cut off all contact with him, and he was not allowed to see the baby as well. Several months went by, and we heard that he was getting his act together, that he went to go seek some help. He was supposedly going to church, and he was going to AA meetings, and he wanted to talk to me. Deep inside, at that time, I didn't know that that was called discernment. Something was telling me, don't talk to him. But I didn't listen to that voice. And I know that that was the Holy Spirit already speaking to me. Even in the little bit of times that I called on God, and I was only calling him when I was in need of help, that I regret so much. He listened, and he was preparing me. And he was like, daughter, don't talk to him. Don't talk to him anymore. But I didn't listen. And so he called me and he said, Andrea, I'd like to see the baby again. I want to see if we can maybe co-parent. Why don't we go out to eat and maybe we could discuss something? I thought about it and I said, all right, he hasn't seen the baby in a few months. So, okay. I said, yeah, no problem. He's like, do you think I can pick you up tonight? And I said, yeah, sure. Okay. We'll go out and we'll talk. So he picks me up. Baby stayed home with my parents. And on our way, we're on our way to the restaurant, and I know the way, but he takes a different route. And, I didn't say anything at first, but then all of a sudden we're in a different route where it's just a one-way road and it's pitch dark. And all you could see is just his headlights. And for some reason, I began to feel fear. And I said, hey, what way are you taking? He's silent. He doesn't say anything. I said, hey, where are you taking me? And all of a sudden, he locks the doors. And he goes in this deserted field, like a dark, huge field. It's pitch dark. And then I'm scared. I'm trying to open the door, and then he comes over, he grabs me, he just punches me. I'm laid out cold. I'm trying to regain consciousness because I could hear him. And he keeps punching me. All I can remember was that he comes around out of the car. He grabs my body. He takes my body out in the middle of a field, and it's muddy. I can remember it was muddy and it was cold. And then he just lays me right there. And I'm weak. I can't regain my strength. I'm really weak. And then he continues to hit me. All of a sudden, I begin to pray, and I'll never forget Psalm 91, that my father taught my sister and I. When you are in trouble, pray this prayer. And I began to pray it. And then I began to say, God, I do not want to die like this. I do not want to die like this, God. I have my daughter waiting for me at home, Lord. Help me, God. Save me, Lord. Help me. I cannot get up myself, God. Help me. And then all I could see was him getting back into the car, and he's reversing. And I'm trying to regain my strength. And all of a sudden, he's coming towards me. The car is coming towards me. And I said, Jesus, help me. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 3 men come. They grab my body. And they pull me out of the way. I should have been dead that night. But God saved me. The Lord saved me. How can 3 men out of nowhere just be in the middle of a field like that? How? That's God. And I'll never forget, when they dragged my body, the guys, they let me go. They grabbed him. They started punching him. They put him on a lock, like his hands behind his back, until the cops came. The cops came. They arrested him. And we had several court dates. And I told the judge, I said, Your Honor, if you let this man out of jail, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me or my daughter. I fear for my life. Please, Your Honor, do something. And, he looked at me with fear in his eyes, like he believed me. And then I found out that he was going to be deported to his country. He got deported. He served 1 year in jail, and they deported him back to his country. It was really rough. You know, I lived in a lot of fear. I was very paranoid. I remember always coming out of my house, just looking behind my back to see if he was around. For some reason, I didn't believe that he was in jail. I still believed that he was going to come out and out of nowhere and just kill me. Or I lived with a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic attacks. I remember calling the ambulance like every week. First time I called them, they said, honey, you're not having a heart attack. You're having a panic attack. No, you don't understand. My heart, if I die, it's going to be from a heart attack. It's not a panic attack. And they did this 2-3 times, and they already knew, like, it was me. Honey, you are having a panic attack. I lived in so much fear. I felt like I had no purpose.